Hi, public group. Happy Sunday. Today we're going to go a little bit early. So we're going to be making this welcome to our home everyday wreath. You could kind of put your own little flair on it if you like. This will look great as a grapevine. We're going to be doing it as a Deco mesh wreath today. So I've already got my 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame already wired up. Which is a Dollar Tree 14-inch wreath frame. Comes with 6 sections on it. You're going to wire together the 2 inside rings in the middle of each section, and then you're going to use that one to make a determination for a middle way point for adding 2 outside ones. This gives you a grand total of 6 on the inside, 12 to the outside, grand total of 18. I chose to use all dark blue on here. Normally you guys know that I usually like to mix it up. The sign, 10-inch round from Personalize It by Pam. Is it Personalize It by Pam? I believe it is. I'm almost positive it is. It's kind of weird though. Normally she adds that thing on the back. So let me make sure. Yes, this is a 10-inch round. There's not too many people that don't make the 10-inch rounds. Most people are in the 8 to 11.75, which is basically 12. We are going to be using a royal blue wide foil metallic mesh, which you could find at Craft Outlet. If not Craft Outlet, the Wreath Shop, Trendy Tree, Deco Exchange, the list goes on and on. If you're having a hard time finding supplies, put it in Google. You know, Google wide foil royal blue deco mesh and see who pops up if you're finding that it's out and you desperately need it. We're doing 18 pieces of this, cut to 20-inch pieces. We're going to do a ruffle. I'm not sure if we're doing 1 bow or 2 bows on this wreath, so I'm leaving that option open, pending how well everything looks by the time we get this started. So happy Sunday, happy end of the weekend. We're adding the finished edges towards the inside. And I always start with the middle. I don't know why, that's just habit. And then I am going to remove the inside 6 to free me up for some embellishments if you choose to do that. Or we might just do a double bow on it. So we'll see. This sign gives us the permission to use a wide variety of different color choices. You could go with a creamy ivory. You could go with a neutral beige, like a jute burlap mesh. You can do light blue, blue ombre mesh would look great with this sign. So I believe this was one of Pam's new ones when I received it. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this as an everyday or if I wanted to do this as a beach. Either way, you can add, you know, just by adding some seashells, some starfish, you could take this sign, incorporate the entire design around a beach theme, and then make it a year-round beach. Just trying to keep my deco mesh flat as I lay all these inside. If you're new for the first time and catching us live, normally we go live on Sundays at 6. But now with our kids all moved out and everybody's kind of doing their own thing, we've decided to just jump in and kind of do it a little bit early rather than the 6 o'clock one. So that's where we're at. Here we go. Trying to think of what else I need to do. This particular deco mesh you can actually cut with the wood burning tool, which is what I did. Definitely helps minimize the amount of fraying that happens. If you've ever used deco mesh in the past, sometimes people choose not to use it again because it frays pretty bad if you're using a rotary cutter or scissors to cut it. So I would say invest in a rotary cutter, and then or invest in a wood burning tool and use a wood burning tool to cut it instead, and you'll love working with mesh again. I'm going to pull this one off. Just got a loose thread at the very bottom. Hi Donna, hi Patty, hi Deb.
I pinned the link to her sign.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, wow, you're really good. So Steve has pinned the listing for the sign if you'd like to pick that up over at Pam's Etsy shop. I'm finding I love working with the 10-inch rounds now more than all the others. Again, it will always depend on what your final design idea is. With this one, I want it more full around the outside. So that's why we chose not to do a poof or a cruffle. We've just chosen to do just the regular standard ruffle. And then this way, it gives us much more flexibility in how we lay out this design.
Sarah Gwen said thank you for going a little bit earlier because they're on the East Coast.
Yes, I'm starting to feel that like that's the direction we need to go. So you might be seeing us pop up earlier on Sundays. It's just different. It's like summer, it's kind of hard to gauge. You know, people are usually out doing stuff late on Sundays or doing stuff with the family now that school's drawing to a close. Graduation is done. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. So I struggled between trying to decide between a grapevine and a mesh on this design. I chose to do a mesh because I have a couple that are similar in style in grapevine, and I just didn't feel like competing with something that's already done. So I'm filling some of these gaps because sometimes if you don't spread out your mesh all the way, you get little gaps that happen underneath. So being able to open those, grab my pipe cleaners, make sure they're all to the outside, and then I can fill that area in between. So trying to make sure they're all together. So what I'm saying is, like, let me add this one. This will fill up this section. Let me get this one done. Just trying to keep it as gathered evenly as I possibly can. This will finish the other outside piece in the section, but it's where the two sections join, where you have those two outside pieces. You want to make sure that like you're pulling your mesh out here so that it's filling that section, and that also you have the middle section overlapping on the underside of that. So this way we have both of our pipe cleaners ready. So that fills, that's like the two with the one in the middle. So now we have this one here. So we're going to add another one to the outside, and then this is where, because we don't have one in the middle, we've got to fill the gap between where our pipe cleaner goes and where the two pieces meet. So let's open this one up. Make sure we get that seated pretty evenly. Okay, and then see like how right in here there is a gap. It's because this one is folded underneath itself. So we need to lift this one up and make sure that gets seated underneath. And then let's find the top half here. There we go. Now we have the top half and the gap is missing. So now both of those are spread out evenly. And then this is how your tails will line up in sequence, fairly even. Usually that's what people tell me is, I can't get some of my tails on the outside to lay as flat as you do. What am I doing wrong? And it's probably that you need to readjust the mesh on the two that are closest together, so these two, and then those will lay flat. Okay, so I'm removing the inside ones and then just tucking that beneath. And because this is an inside middle, this needs to go under the existing outside pieces. So you always want to make sure you take the time. And there we have the one next and the one here. And then we're going to pull one next to that to finish that section. And the more that I look at this sign, I was like, wow, there's so many different design ideas that come to mind looking at this. I definitely feel it has a very beach vibe to it without having like a beach themed sign. So with that in mind, this becomes a pretty universal wreath, meaning you can use it throughout the year, especially if you have a beach house. Okay, trying to grab, here's my top, here's the bottom. There's the other outside piece. Okay, now here we go, the two sections. See, here's the gap that normally happens. And I think this is where people struggle. Grab this one. So we'll add this one right inside. Two twists, and then we've got to go to the one before and get that fold underneath that. Put the top fold on top of there because it just isn't extending all the way out.
Nancy, there's 18 ties on this wreath, 12 on the outside, 6 on the inside. Kathy, this is a 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath form, and the mesh is cut to 20 inches, 18 pieces.
You got it. Great sum up. And this is a royal blue wide foil deco mesh. This particular roll was from Craft Outlet, but I'm not sure if they have it still in stock. A lot of the wide foil sells out early because it's a little good, it's a better quality than just the value mesh or the regular metallic. So you want to specifically seek wide foil mesh.
Thank you, Janet. She said, hope you all are doing well. Kat's wreaths are always beautiful.
Thanks, Janet. Appreciate you joining us. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go underneath that existing one right before that and make sure that we've got the same thing happening. We get this to go underneath to fill that gap.
No worries, Rita.
So as you can see, simultaneously, everything is ready for the subsequent piece. So just taking that little bit of extra time to prep it is beneficial. It's going to be nice and thick. Yes. That's the way we like them. Very full. But it's funny because you would think that it weighs a lot and it really doesn't. So we're going to go back under. Well, nope, this is our inside. So our inside's going to go under this one. Lift up. And there we go. So now we've got, as you can see, there's 3 pieces right here in a row. Still hanging in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So YouTubers, if you'd like to know when we get new videos, if you're catching this on my YouTube channel, just make sure you hit the subscription bell in the upper right hand corner. That lets you know whenever we drop a new video. This way you won't miss out on anything. You'll be current with all of our latest videos. Oops. Got 3 pieces remaining. And back to the inside. Starting to get a little tight, meaning just that there's a lot of mesh. So you have to kind of really move things around, knowing where they go. There we go. Right on top. Middles, remember, always go under the 2 outsides. So we have another middle, and then we have the one directly next to that. Okay, gotta peel this one back, lay it right inside, 2 twists, and then we want to tuck our inside right underneath that. So here's our underside. So again, filling that gap between the 2. Whoop. Gotta go around my pipe cleaner. We've got to squeeze our last piece in, and then we're good. This will make a 24 to 25 inch diameter wreath. Whenever you put 10-inch Deco mesh on your 14-inch frame, you're basically going to create a 24 to 25 inch, depending upon how they're going to be laid on the frame. Here's our final one. Again, we'll fill that gap, making sure our underside is extended to cover right in here. Let's get this under and then grab the existing one. Okay. To raise this one a little bit higher. There we go. Sometimes they just need a slight readjustment. Okay, ribbons for this one. Super simple. We're gonna yield to a little bit lighter blue because we can go with a whole bunch of different shades. So I'm going to stay with the lighter blues all the way around this design. With that, we're coming in with 2.5 inch ribbon. We have a chevron with the teal glitter. This is from Hobby Lobby. Also, the one underneath is also from Hobby Lobby, but at Christmas, both are cut to 14-inch pieces. We're going to alternate this all the way around the design. So I'm going to start here, and you're going to see that these colors are now going to start to pop that the lighter teal color in here. And you can see how that just pairs really well with that. The chevron, even though it's Hobby Lobby, I believe they discontinued this pattern. I don't think that Hobby Lobby carries it anymore. Because when I looked at my ribbon roll, it was their clearance ribbon. So I'm not sure if they're still making it or not.
Karen, yep, just one roll of that mesh.
Yeah, if you cut it to 20-inch pieces and you put it on a 14-inch Dollar Tree frame with 18 pipe cleaners, you will use up exactly one roll of mesh, which is great because then we're not saving all these leftovers.
I think you try to do like what, 5 or 6 at like 19.5 inches to make sure you have enough.
Yeah, I do the 6 on the inside at 9 and then everything else at 10. Because sometimes it just never fails.
You mean 19 inches and then...
Yeah, sorry, 19.
And 20, yeah.
6 at 19. And then the other...
12, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Up. So we always got to pop the underside of the ribbon because when you lay it in there on your pipe cleaners, it caves the opposite direction, and so you need it to puff up and out. So 2 twists, and then right at the base of that pipe cleaner, just pop them out. This one's got a more flat wired edge to it, whereas the diagonal striped ribbon has it's like a stitched wire around the outside edge. But since we're going with metallic, this looked like a good choice. Up and out. There we go. Nice complementary. See, now doesn't it start to feel beachy?
Mm-hmm. Hi Natalie, she said got you guys again from Australia. It's 6:30 a.m. Love the colors.
Okay, so it's not that early there.
6:30, what's the early?
Well, some people are used to, yeah, happy Monday, right? It's Monday down under. So 2, pop that up and out. Same thing there. There's another one.
Hi Missy. Said it's been a while since I've been on. Welcome back.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us again. 2 twists.
Hey guys, the sign is from Personalized in My Hand by Pam. On the link on the bottom, you can press on the little pin, and I linked the site where you can go right to the sign.
So efficient. Although the people on YouTube will not be able to benefit from that link.
That is true.
So YouTube subscribers, just look in the description box below. You will find that link provided for you. So I'm always trying to think about the people who are catching the replays or who are not watching it live. I'm always curious though. What kind of wreath would you guys like to see us create, or me create next? I always say us, should mean me. What would you like me to work on next? What is it, something that you would really, really like to see? Would you like to do a beach wreath? Would you like to do something summer? Would you like to see early fall. I'm curious to see what you guys would like to see, because that definitely helps me plan for next week.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be tough. She said, I want to come to USA just for Dollar Tree and Hobby Lobby. She said, oh, we have nothing like this here in Australia at all. Amazon is her go-to for craft supplies.
But you know what though? Amazon is starting to carry more and more craft supplies. Like all my florals, believe it or not, if I can't get them at a local wholesaler, I'm on Amazon shopping quite a bit. So there's our outside.
Peach and apricot colors.
I saw that, Natalie. I love that peach and apricot colors. Don't see many of those. Absolutely, I'd love to do something like that. Okay.
I think that's a good question. Can you put mesh on a grapevine form?
Yes, you can. You most certainly can. That might be an interesting thing for us to do. We can look at doing something like that. I'm still trying to decide which one I want to go where. I think I'm going to take the gingham, because the gingham is the border around the bottom of our sign. Exact color. So it's a little bit of a teal with a cream. These are all, the 1.5 inch are cut to 19-inch pieces, and we're going to do half bows on them, which is just take your dovetailed edges, put them together, and go up about 2 inches from the top, literally 2 inches. Pinch in. These are going to go on our diagonal stripe. And then we are going to twist our pipe cleaners about 4 or 5 times.
Cindy said she'd like to see a cancer awareness.
Cancer awareness.
3-time survivor of cancer. Thank you. Well, that's awesome, Cindy.
Oh, poor thing.
That had been so rough. Laura said wreath for police officers.
Okay. That would be interesting. I have to look and see if I have all my police officer stuff, but I think I might. Definitely something to take into consideration. I love teaching you guys what you want to see. So if you say, oh, I want to do anything, like what?
Cancer awareness. Or...
Yeah, cancer awareness, how Kathy said she wants to put mesh on a grapevine form. Something for summer. Natalie likes the peach and apricot colors. Because you don't always want to go peach. You know, like when you think of those colors, you don't want to just go with a peach-themed wreath. But definitely...
peach and coral would be great.
Yes, you could definitely do that for a beach theme. Like a coral sunset. So this definitely puts my creative gear in mind for coming up with designs you'd like. Also, YouTubers, please feel free. You guys can comment below this video and tell me what designs and tutorials you'd love to see. I try not to do the same designs so that if you're looking for something in particular, and I've already done it, I can just refer you to that tutorial. Somebody said, Kimmy said, please back the blue. Darlene wants mesh on grapevine.
Mesh on grapevine, yeah.
It's so simple. Basically, you're going to construct it, like put your mesh bundle in a, whatchamacallit, pipe cleaner, and then you're going to weave your pipe cleaner onto your grapevine. It just honestly depends on what type of look you are trying to achieve. So I haven't decided if I wanted the gingham on top yet, or if I want glitter on top. So I'll think about that while we're going around. Judy, the sign is from Personalize It by Pam. Steve has pinned the link to this sign on her Etsy shop at the very bottom, right?
Yep.
So if you just click on that link, you can go ahead and pick this sign up. It is the 10-inch round.
Should see a little post at the bottom that has Cat's Creations logo on it with a little blue pin next to it. Mm-hmm. Just click on that and it'll take you to it.
Yes. Okay. Sometimes I think I'm making these ones just a tad too big. So the reason I go 19 inches is because most of the time that one was a little bit too big, but it's okay. I want the ends of my 1.5 inches to come down the same length as I want my 2.5, so I want them to meet. There we go. And always tuck the back of our pipe cleaner behind our loop. That way we don't have to see the remnant. And we can just open that up. Pull this one up in the middle. Where did the ribbon come from? So the glitter that I'm holding in my hand is from Craft Outlet, and the teal colored gingham was from Crinkle Designs. So they're another online retailer. You do not have to have a business license to order from them. It's just Crinkle with a K, designs.us, not .org or .net or .com, US. Craft Outlet for this glitter, and the gingham is from Crinkle. Just trying to get that underside right there to go together. Do you have a video of you making a small wreath like for a camper or RV? Gail asked. The question is yes. I actually did an RV wreath on a 10-inch form, and it was RV themed. Can't remember what the sign was, but we did it with an 8-inch round, and it came out absolutely adorable. If you look for it on my YouTube channel, I will have Steve pin that to the bottom for the YouTube. So it'll be youtube.com/C/KatsCreationsNMore. And then once you're on my channel, you can search for it by RV Wreath. And we did do that.
Your KatsCreationsNMore.
No, KatsCreationsNMore on YouTube. If you do the youtube.com/C/KatsCreationsNMore, it will take them directly to the channel. Yeah, once you set up a YouTube channel, you can't change it. You can physically change your name, but you can't change your channel link. So there's that one.
Just when I do that, just to make sure the link works,
Mm-hmm.
I have to close out Facebook and then reopen it because I miss all the
www.
comments. Well, the comments.
Oh, okay. Trying to get these right where I'm pinning it is right at the glitter mark.
Linda said, I love your choices of ribbon and your signature hat colors.
Thank you.
It's really going to stand out on so much fun.
I've been trying to make a lot more everyday wreaths because when people start shopping for Christmas, they're going to be looking for the everyday designs. Most people at Christmas time don't shop for Christmas wreaths. If they're buying them as gifts, it's going to be an everyday wreath. So I'm trying to stock my shop with things that you can put on your door in between your seasonal wreaths. So this is one of those. Because it's not themed. Let's make sure these pop a little bit better. There we go. You don't want them so flat. You want them to kind of have a little lift underneath. 3 more, and then we will start working on our bow, which we're not going to use 2.5 inch on it. I'm starting to like just doing 1.5 inch ribbon on a bow. I like the way that it turns out. especially when you're using a smaller sign. And you really don't want to compete, you know, with really wide ribbon. Let's get this one under. Let's bring it over. Pop that under. There we go. It does feel very deep blue sea-ish. Like the blue looks like the deep part of the ocean. And then the turquoise or the teal around the outside. Very much the shallows or tropical island look. Even if you did this wreath with the same sign, like I said, you can come back in and embellish it with starfish, seashells, sand dollars, a little bit of beach themed items. You could do it on a grapevine, or you could add it to Deco mesh like this and give it a year-round beachy theme. Okay. Here's the last one of those. Right around the back side. Pop that open. I'll flip this up and over and get this one underneath to pop up. There we go. I like that. We'll figure that out if we want the gingham to be on top or the glitter once we finish our bow. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to grab my bow dabra. More glitter. Okay. So we have the two. So let's introduce some other players. We are going to, let's see if we can do it this way so you can kind of see. This is what I do when I'm selecting my bows. I'll just sit here and do this. I'll be like, that's pretty. That's pretty. That's pretty. So there is my bow combo. And I'm trying to think of how I want it to go. I might want to separate these. I think I'm going to do them like this so that the glitter is on the top, or we could put the gingham on the top. Doesn't matter. Here's that, how that palette would look. That would work too. Let's do that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we do this on the top or this on the top? I'm not sure if I want this on the top because it plays to this, or if I want the lighter blue because it's all in here with these colors. Same thing with here. We have that same color palette all the way through. But I'm not sure. What do you think? What should we do?
I said gingham on the top.
Gingham on the top?
Lenore said glitter on the top. Kathy said glitter on the top.
Okay. I'm just pulling my pipe cleaner out.
How many ties on top and bottom?
How many ties?
Yeah. I get that. Nancy, what do you mean?
Well, it's just going to be the,
it's glitter. Linda said the third one.
Third one. So everyone's saying glitter. This is what I'm seeing predominantly. So 6 ribbons are going into our bow. It's nice because we do have a generally large cutout here.
Glitter on the top.
Okay, we're going with glitter on top. So we're going to start with the light blue to pop that against that dark blue. Because if we used any of the dark blue, it'd just get lost in there. So I am using Same formula for this one, which is 10-inch tail. We're going to gather. We're going to twist right at the gather point. And then we're going to measure out 5.5-inch loops. So that's just going from here to the end. So I put it on the 10. So keeping this lined up with our 10 and then stretching this out. It's not quite there yet. A little bit in. So there's 5.5 inches. And then we're just going to work it on down from there. So that's the longest width that our loops are going to hang out. Dovetail simply just means we're going to put a finished look on the edge. So we're going to take our wired edges, bring them together. We're going to cut from the fold up to this wired point. And I like mine pretty deep, so that gives you a very finished look. And then that way you don't have to take your scissors and kind of cut in and then cut in and hope they meet in the middle. Doing this particular bow recipe does not take up much ribbon at all. I want to say about, let me think about it, 11, 22, 32, 42 inches of ribbon at the longest point. So it's really good if you want to use a lot of leftover ribbon that you have. As long as you have at least 42 inches, that would be your bottom. And then it just gets shorter as you work your way up. This one's going to be 9.5 inches in. Another twist. We're doing 5-inch loops. So we're going to come down about 1/2 inch.
Charlotte, all the mesh is cut to 20 inches.
Right there's 5 inches. Up and over. Twist. Trying to get it there. There's another 5. And back out to 9.5. Do our dovetail. There's that one. The solid royal canvas is from Crinkle Designs. The light blue plaid that I used at the very, very bottom, this one, is from Craft Outlet. This royal blue and white is from Crinkle as well. This is really thick ribbon because it's got the lines painted on it. And on this one, we're doing 9 inches in. These become challenges when they're painted because they're very stiff, but you can still get them to yield. And this is going to be a 4.5-inch loop. So always measure. That to me is the success in making a good bow, is having like measurements all the way down. It's like having a perfect recipe for a cake or dessert. As long as everything is measured out and done correctly, you should have a perfect dessert. And there's that one. And that, we just have a little bit of this left. This is really hard to find with the royal blue. Usually you can find it in the navy. And then we are going to do our gingham. This will be 8.5 inch for our tail length, and then also a 4.5 inch loop. It's going to be the same. And this is just a formula that works for me. You can do anything you'd like. You can double up on your ribbon, use just 3 or 4. use just 2. You can just use 1. It's entirely up to you. This formula just works for the type of bow that I need it to be.
Linda, I'll post Kat's website because she's running most of her items for sale on her website. No, it's Etsy.
Yeah, what did she question? What was
She
the
asked if I
question?
could post a link to your Etsy shop. I can do both.
Oh, yeah.
Natalie also said her bow average turned up last Friday on Amazon. If you go to watch you use it, we'll have to go today. And now that I've seen it being used.
What's that? The bow dabber?
Yeah.
Yeah. The bow dabber for me as a wreath maker was the very first one I learned on. So, yeah. I'm going to do 8 inches on this. And then 4 inches on the loop. And this ribbon is from Craft Outlet. This blue plaid. It's like a royal blue plaid with the white in it.
And Gail, she just uses 1-inch straight pins with the little round knobs.
The balls on the end.
For the ribbon.
They're just easier to see when they fall on the floor, is what it is.
You normally get from Walmart.
Yeah, usually I pick them up at Walmart or Amazon. Sometimes right now, a lot of the, just measuring this a little off. I haven't found a lot of them at Walmart, so I've been getting a lot of stuff through Amazon. So if I can't find them at Walmart or Hobby Lobby, I will pick them up on Amazon and just order. I think they come in sets of 3. Okay, the last one, which is our glitter. See, I don't like using the 1.5 inches because they're too long. And if it's going into some thick ribbon, they have a tendency of bending before they go all the way in. And I don't like the pins to stick out. Last tail length is going to be 7.5 inches. And then there's that glitter on top. Oops, let's get this to go around. This one's going to be 3.5 inches for our loop length. A little bit more. Up over. Back over. 3.5. Back out here to 7.
Hi Sharon, you're not late. Kathy went on a little bit early.
Yeah, I went way early. Like way early. Normally not supposed to be till 6, but I was bored. I don't want to just be, you know, constantly scrolling on social media. I just want to make good use of my time. So I'm going to use my blue pipe cleaner. I'm going to pick all this up. Going to kind of hold it and then drop my pipe cleaner in. Hold it right at the bottom of your stack and then just twist. Twist the stack, not your pipe cleaner. It's easier to do it that way. And then, move this back.
Yes, have you ever made a ribbon wreath? Yeah, she's made several.
Mm-hmm.
Ribbon wreaths, rag wreaths.
Yeah, I keep looking for new designs. So that's part of your job as a wreath maker, is constantly looking, see what's out there. Oops. Felt like something was under my board. Okay, so this is a 24 by 24 by 1 inch thick. This is a custom board that I had designed because I needed something to showcase bows when I made them. So I basically took my cutting board and swapped it out with this but you can use a cutting board as well. I just have an 1.5 inch or 2 inch C-hook that just screws into the center, and this is going to catch my pipe cleaner. As I bring it around, it just goes right in there, catches all my ribbon, and it just keeps it from sliding off the mat. So we separate tail and loop. We're starting from the bottom of our stack and working our way up. So we're starting from the top, and now I'm going over to the other side, and I'm gonna go opposite. So my tail's gonna go to the right, loop's gonna go to the left, so that if you were to hold this up, they kind of make their own little X. So the loops are directly across from each other, and so are the tails. And then with each one you bring down, you go opposite. So we're gonna go loop and tail for the top. And then we're gonna go, push it that way. I'm gonna grab my tail, pull it out here, and here's my loop. So now they're staggering the loops and tails all the way around, and then just depends on what you wanna bring down next. You're gonna kind of follow the same sequence, loop and tail. Here's my tail, here's my loop. Go back over here, loop and tail. Okay.
Don't worry about fluffing till the end.
Don't worry about fluffing to the end, right? It's all about separating. So there's that. And then we're gonna do the plaid. There we go. Same thing here. Here's my tail, loop and loop.
This is Kat's big trick for a beautiful bow every time.
And then back over here. And then this one's gonna flip over here. And see, just so, because people are like, well, you're fluffing as you're going. No, I'm just kind of, I pull up sometimes if I'm having a difficult time separating them. I don't fluff until I go here, and then I pull up the two on the top. I'm gonna do these two. It's just easier to fluff them like this, to put your fingers in them and fluff. There we go. And then it depends on what you see underneath that you like next. Like, oh, this looks kind of cute. It's just falling in line there. So let's put that there. Well, we could do that. I'm gonna put the blue in here because I like the blue one. I'm gonna put this to the outside. Just like that. Sometimes you have to just readjust your loops. I'm going to move these over here. This is now going to fall between these two. And then this is going to come up right in between here. And then give everyone a good tug, a good pull. And then now we need to kind of put the curve back in our loops again. So we're going to do that by running your ribbon through your fingers, and it just kind of puts a nice little arc back in. Okay. Pull this one back over. There's that. And then on this side, same thing. If you want to mix up and put your tails in with some of your loops, you most certainly can do that. You are not prohibited from doing anything you don't want to do. I'm always trying to get them to sit.
Yes, I'm learning that you can be very aggressive with spreading out the ribbons.
Yes, you can, especially if you've got something holding it in the center. Yeah. You can give it a really good
She said, "LOL, teaching them who the boss is." Yeah.
Right? Got to manhandle it somehow. There you go. The only reason these ones are separating is because my pipe cleaner is right in the center of that. But there is...
That's why you really like using pipe cleaners, because they're not going to break.
Yeah.
As long as you use good ones, right? So you can really kind of work the ribbon.
Right. So there we go. There's our bow. See what I'm saying? How this is a nice presentation. It allows me to snap a photo. We're done. It's going to go off the opposite direction it went on. And now we are going to attach our sign, add our bow, and then see what we want to do for embellishments. So our sign, I'm going to have it, if I pull this forward. I know, give me a second. Let me do it this way. Trying to get my Deco mesh on the inside to fluff up, because I want it over here kind of butted up against these pieces here, because I don't want, what I don't want is the sign in the center and then having this thick band of blue around the outside. I want to get rid of some of this blue. So me pulling my sign a little bit further down this way, so it sits up against this, this, and this piece here, and then we'll get this all straightened out here. Once we get the sign set, it's going to kind of be in here. We're going to have a lot more on this side because this is the home for our bow. So very little blue kind of coming through here. So I'm going to probably go side to side on where I'm going to put my holes for my sign. I choose when I order my signs not to have holes put in them because I prefer to put the holes in them myself. And I'm just using a 1.5 millimeter. This is a Beadsmith metal hole punch. I got it from Amazon. It's about $11. And I think the first one I had lasted me about 4 years. So we're on metal hole punch number 2 just because it got dull. It's not that it wasn't punching holes. It was just taking me longer to punch the hole. So I'm using 22 gauge floral wire. Just gonna cut a couple pieces. Just like so. And I'm gonna set that up. We are going to build this from the back. I always talk about this. So when we're adding our floral wire, we're building from the back of the sign, which means we're just building it right over the hole in the back. This way it doesn't become a spinner on the front, so that you have your wire coming out the sides. This is all to the back. Back here. Just trying to make sure it's even. And then I build it right over the hole. So I'm just twisting it right over the hole. About 5 times just gives it probably like a 1/4 inch over the sign. So now, see, here's my center one. So I'm going to take advantage of that, since I know it's going to go right over the top.
How do you figure if you will punch the holes or use the mounting squares?
I always punch holes in the metal signs. I never use the adhesive mounting squares unless I'm doing a plastic sign or a wood sign that is thinner than a 1/4 inch. Everything else.
Susan, we've noticed that both in extreme heat and extreme kind of cold, those mounting
squares will pop off.
Can pop off. So you'd have to really like glue it down. That's why Kat likes to do the whole punch.
there's almost no point in doing the adhesive squares because there's no way these are going to pop off, you know? So why take the risk? That's just my opinion. I just prefer to do it this way.
This is no matter how tight I pull the wire, once I hang the wreath, the sign wants to slide down. Make sure you're kind of pushing it in a little bit to where it's got a little bit of an indent inside.
Yeah, if you notice that mine, it's not all the way to the frame. That's just the wire that's making that sound. I have this nestled pretty well in there, not too far. So what I do is when I'm pushing my sign in with my metal wire, I hold it down about as far as I want it to go because I like my mesh to frame the outside of the sign so that it kind of I call it feathers the edge. It kind of takes away from that harsh round that you'd see, especially on a stark blue. And then I'm just gonna fluff my ribbons right here. I think I want to pull this just a little bit more this way. So what I'm going to do is undo the wire I have here. And this one is actually, it's on ring number 2. So I'm going to move it. So like right now it's right here under ring 2. I'm going to push this back under and try to get it on the other side. Just like that. So that I can pull it closer to the side I want. So I'm just moving it over a ring.
It should go back in at the very end.
Cut all that off.
And she'll clean and cut everything up.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that. Fix this.
I said you were one of the best teachers I've seen. Thank you for your clear instructions.
You are so welcome. Okay, so let's look at our bow home. So can't have all this stuff because all this is going to do is push our ribbon up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take and tuck all this mesh here right underneath my sign. I need a little bit right here underneath because these are where my tails are going to fall. So my bow's going to sit here. I'm going to look and see, where's my pipe cleaner? There we go. It's on the opposite side. So I want it I always look, which way do I want it to go? I think it's going to kind of go right there. I think that's where I want it to be. So now we've got to work our pipe cleaner down through the mesh. Gotta find the other side. So I can get that down. Okay, now I'm gonna push my bow down as far as I want it to sit so that it allows me to gather my pipe cleaner underneath and pull, but not collapse my ribbon. So then now we have all these. Okay. Pull. Gotta make sure all my loops trying to do this so you can see where I have everything kind of falling into place. A little bit kind of tucked over our sign. I'm gonna release this side just a bit. I feel like I've pulled it down I pulled it over, but I also pulled it down too far. So now I'm going to lift right here so it comes up a little bit higher. And now I'm going to twist. So now this it's not sucked down so far. Just like that. Okay. We're going to add some embellishments, I think, to this. Just like that. So I've ordered some flowers from Amazon. And sadly, when they come, they get smashed inside the box. So I'm going to show you how I can fix them. Like if you've ever had a flower that just has a really nasty crease in it, I'm going to show you how to fix that. So let's see. I think I'm going to use, I ordered these. They're kind of a grayish blue. See what I'm saying? How they're folded. Like you can see they were folded like that. So I think I'm going to add some of these to the top, like right here. And I think I'm going to add some maybe down in here in this corner, right here, right here. So let me show you how we fix that. So.
That's it, no matter how many of your tutorials I watch, I learn something new every time.
Well, this is the hot tip, literally, that's the hot tip. So I have a mini steamer. It's like a mini clothes steamer. Amazon again for the win. This is how you fix your florals. So you're gonna let that heat up until you get your steam coming through. So this is just my little steamer Go Mini. So it's just a little mini one. You fill it up with water. And then you're gonna see it starts to bubble immediately. And that'll start to blow steam out like it is now. And we're gonna take that one stem, I'm gonna separate it from that one because these ones are fine. See how it's kind of bent? We're gonna hold that in front of our steamer and get it nice and steamy. Okay, nice and steamy. You can kind of see it's already putting it back into its shape. I haven't even touched it. So we're just flipping it, steaming it, okay? And then it's nice and soft. And so I'm just gonna kind of push against where the fold was. And look, we've got our floral back to the shape it should be.
And yes, you can find it on Amazon.
What?
You steam.
Yeah, that's where I got the steamer. Yeah. So that's that one. So we're gonna take this. We're going to trim that down because we don't need a stem that big. This is going to kind of come in here just like that. We're going to add a couple more little baby stems. I think I'm leaving these about 2.5, 3 inches. Right? This one's got a little bit of a thing to it, so let's just steam this one. So I literally just opened the box from
trick for you guys.
Right. So right back into shape. These are, I think what they're called is mini blue ranunculus. So we're going to kind of tuck this one down in there. And we'll have our little baby bud right on top. We'll add some of our greenery to this, meaning
once you get the placement down, you go back and glue it.
Yes, always figure out what your placement's going to be first and then go back and glue them. And then if you have your leaves and your leaves are crinkled, you could take a steam iron and just iron them flat again, or you can steam them since you happen to have your steamer out anyway.
Yeah, that's the best trick and tip I've seen. And I said, oh wow, I would have never thought of using a steamer.
Right?
I have to have one.
So just get the mini one because it just heats up so quick. And then if you ever need to steam clothes, you know, you can definitely steam your whatever you need. Like this one's got a pretty good crease in it. Let's see if we can do anything with that. I'm just holding it directly in front of the hot steam. We'll do both sides. Okay. And we fold them flat. And then we'll tuck this one in. It's going to kind of go along the edge of our side. Like that. And then we're going to put another bunch below that. So. And just like that, the steamer is full of water. So, there's that one. We're going to put another set down in here. We might go just a little bit smaller grouping, but
She says, "What a great hack!"
Right?
That I make silk flower wreaths and never thought you could steam them.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, as always, for sharing.
Of course. I just thought that was. I used to get so frustrated that sometimes I would be prone to grab the glue gun and glue them, you know, back into shape, so that they would lay the way they needed to. So I'm just going to glue this on with my Gorilla Glue Gun. This is going to go right down into my Deco mesh, just like that, so that it kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to use all the leaves. This one kind of felt a little thick. Like I like it to border the edge. So I'm going to add my greenery. Right in there. I'm going to trim this down a little bit because when you're adding it to your Deco mesh, you don't have to go very deep because that Deco mesh rim is up pretty high. Trim this one just a touch. Grab this one. So there's a nice little trio right there. Trio's over doing, what do we call it? What am I thinking? Couples, evens. They work better for the natural eye. Natural eyes are drawn towards things that are uneven. Just going to add this and it's going to go right underneath the larger ranunculus bud. I'm going to pick this one up. Just like so. So there's that one. We're going to come in here with my leaf first, just to give it a couple right in here. That's going to stay there. It's going to pop back in place once I put the bud back on it. I'll push it back in place. Just like that. We'll get another little one. Let's add another leaf to the other side, top and bottom. This one I want it to sit a little higher. Trim my bud down just a bit. And of course these all get fixed We'll refluff the bow. There's that one. See how that kind of came together. Short little one, right behind the others. Right in here. So we have a nice, beautiful little year-round welcome home wreath. Just like so. Super simple. And you learned how to fix your flat flowers. So just be careful with the steamer. The steam can get really hot. So just let it sit on the counter and then just move it where you want it to steam.
I think we just said so beautiful. Now said these embellishments just finishing off perfectly. Susan said, love it.
Thank you.
Girls.
Awesome.
If you like the design so much, share it to your page.
Yeah, and if you want to save this tip or know of somebody that would benefit from that tip, please, by all means, hit the share button and share that to your page. Just that tip alone, I think, is valuable and worthwhile. Thank you guys for joining me again, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And I will talk to you guys next weekend. Have an amazing day, everyone. Goodbye.